Well, hi once again, everybody. Welcome into another edition of the 19th Hole Podcast for Golfers. I'm your host, Dennis Silvers. Very happy to have you in, no matter what platform you might be watching us on. We've got a great show for you today. We have a young lady that is making her first appearance here on the 19th Hole Podcast, and this is a huge week in the world of golf. Why is it a huge week? Well, two things going on. Number one, we've got the President's Cup up in Montreal in Canada, at Montreal Country Club. Wonderful, wonderful facility. We've got the international team playing against a very, very strong American team, which I have no doubt we're going to come out on top. The other huge thing this week is we've got another edition of the 19th Hole Podcast for Golfers going right now with a wonderful guest, as I say, making her first appearance here. Let me tell you a little bit about Ann. Ann LIGUORI is becoming an icon in sports broadcasting. She is a host. She is an executive producer and the owner of the award-winning Sports Interview cable series, and covers golf from all the major championships and various PGA and LPGA tour events around the country. She is a recent recipient of the Met Golf Writers Association, and the Met is Metropolitan, that's primarily back east New York, and she is a winner of the Winnie Palmer Award, very prestigious, and it really has a host of other awards as well as recognitions, and has authored her new book entitled Life on the Green, Lessons and Wisdom from Legends of Golf. It's a fabulous book. I highly recommend that you get it to add to your golf library. Really, really is good, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more, of course, with Ann. So right now, my pleasure to bring up Ann LIGUORI and welcome her to the show. Welcome. It's been a long time, and I'm so happy you're on the show.
Well, it's great to be here, Dennis. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Let me start off, Ann, and ask you this. What made you want to write a book like this?
Well, it's my second book.
Yes, it's your second book.
It's my second golf book, actually. The first one was called A Passion for Golf, Celebrity Musings About the Game, which was a collection of interviews I did with A-list personalities from sports, Hollywood, music, politics, and business, interviews that aired on my primetime show on the Golf Channel back in the day. And so, honestly, I wanted to write, the original idea for my second book was to interview sports legends from my other show, this show called Sports Interview that aired for 17 years on cable networks across the country, to talk about the stories behind interviewing Mickey Mantle and Ted Williams and Hank Aaron and Billie Jean King. But, you know, the publisher, Heavily Press, this was during the pandemic, they wanted a golf book. And I said, yeah, I can do a golf book. I've been covering golf for, over 30 years. So I came up with the idea of interviewing 12 legends, 6 men, 6 women, all Hall of Famers, all old enough, with full lives and incredible success stories, which they could share wisdom that they learned from their iconic golf careers that they used in their day-to-day lives. And so, as you held up the book, Life on the Green, Lessons and Wisdom from Legends of Golf, I started about 3-4 years ago, and I'm so excited for it. It came out this year, and I've been on the nonstop promotional tour since April 1st when it came out.
That's great. You've got chapters in the book about some really awesome players in the book, like Tom Watson, Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, and a lot of other people. Number one, do you have a favorite player that you interviewed for the book, number one? And number two, how did you go about and eliminating or selecting the players that you have in the book?
Well, I thought, let's come up with 12 legends, 6 men, 6 women. And again, I wanted them to be all Hall of Famers. I wanted them to be great role models. I wanted them to have a lot to share, a lot of wisdom to share. So I went with Jack Nicklaus, Ben Crenshaw, Gary Player, Padre Carrington, who else? Tom Watson, Bernard Longer, and then the women, Nancy Lopez, Jan Stevenson, Amy Alcott, Dottie Pepper, Renee Powell, Annika. I just wanted personalities that were super successful who were very interested in sharing their stories. And all of them were not only wonderful to interview and so giving of their time and wisdom, but they also thanked me for including them in the book, which is insane because I'm just so grateful for them for being part of this, part of the 12. And yet, when I was at the Masters last year, I covered my 26 Masters. I ran into almost everybody in the book, right? And they all thanked me for including them as one of 12 legends in Life on the Green, which shows you just how incredible they are, their characters, their personalities. They were just so giving. And then, of course, Jim Nance writing the foreword.
Yeah.
The incredible Jim Nance. I mean, I'm just so just indebted to not only Jim, but all the legends for giving of their time and really sharing their wisdom because it's a feel-good book, Dennis. It's, we live in such divisive times, and I wanted it to be very uplifting. I wanted it to be very positive. So the themes are universal. It appeals to men, women, young, old, and whether you're a golfer or not, I think you'll really get a lot from the book.
Now, if you're a golf fan, especially, you've really got to get this book. And were these interviews primarily telephonic, or were you face-to-face with most of them, or all of them?
Yeah, I did Zoom interviews with all of them. Again, I did the interviews a couple years ago and then transcribed them and then wrote into each one of them. So at the time, I was doing most of the interviews from my office in Florida. And I think all 12 of them were basically Zoom interviews. So, it's very important to look at a person when you're to interview them and see their facial expressions and their reactions. And so I have them all on tape, basically. They're all recorded. And then I wrote into each chapter. And I share a lot of my own success story and my own kind of maneuvering around the obstacles of being a woman in sports broadcasting. So there's a little bit of my story kind of weaved into the chapters from all these great legends.
Yeah. Now, for all of our listeners and viewers, of course, where can you find this book to purchase?
So Life on the Green, Lessons and Wisdom from Legends of Golf. You can get it on Amazon, and you can also get it in Barnes & Noble. And it's funny, I was up in Newport speaking at the International Tennis Hall of Fame because throughout my, 4 decades of my sports broadcasting career, I've covered a variety of sports. And I was speaking at the International Tennis Hall of Fame, and I went on one of those mansions tours, at Newport, which I had never done before. And they were selling my book, Life on the Green, in one of the mansions, the Marble House.
Really?
So you can see it. You can find it in a lot of different gift stores and bookstores, but the easiest is just to go on Amazon.com, type in Life on the Green, and you'll have it in a day or two.
Okay. Yeah. Again, highly recommended. Great addition for your golf library, no doubt about it. And have you thought perhaps about possibly writing something about either the LIV Tour or its players?
Well, it's funny. I didn't want to bring up the controversy between LIV versus PGA Tour. I'm going to ask you about that. That's fine. You can ask me about that. I'm on, I do a show called Talking Golf on, the number one sports radio station in the country, The Fan in New York, and Odyssey.com. And I do a podcast on First Call, and I do another show called Sports Interview on an NPR affiliate in the Hamptons and in Connecticut. So I do talk a lot about LIV. I talked to Padre Carrington about it a little bit, but I didn't want the book to be, I didn't want the information to be outdated. With books, it's evergreen, and everything in the book will be just as prevalent in 20 years as it is today. So not in the book did I really talk much about LIV. I talked more about, for instance, Padraig Harrington talks about having fear, not just nerves, every time he tees it up. And at first I was shocked by that revelation, but then when I started to really think about it, here's a 3-time major champion, Padraig Harrington, who's telling me that every time he goes to the first tee, he is fearful. And in his chapter, he talks about embracing that fear and staying in the present, and how that fear, not just nerves, but that fear gives him adrenaline and helps him to focus better. And so you're going to read things like that in the book. And Gary Player talks about pursuing your passion always, whether you're young or old. It's never too late. He's 88 years young. It's never too late to pursue your passion. And I love that theme, that wisdom. And then Annika Sorenstam talks about there are no shortcuts to success. And she tells this great story where she was 15 years old on the range practicing golf in Sweden, and it started to rain. And she called her father and she said, Dad, come pick me up. And he came to pick her up. And as they were leaving the driving range, he looks out and there were all these other junior players still out there on the range getting pelted by raindrops, but they didn't care. They just were out there practicing. And he looked at her and he said, Annika, there are no shortcuts to success. And she told me, oh my God, that just gutted me. My own father is calling me on my work ethic. She said from that moment on, she was a workhorse. And obviously with her stellar career and all those titles she won, you can tell that, she worked so hard and accomplished so much. So just stories like that are just so
awesome, beautiful,
I think, and can teach us all, we can all kind of take this wisdom and apply it to our own lives, not only on the course, but off the course as well.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. All right, let me switch gears a little bit. And do you think that, and you know a lot of them, Ann, do you think that the American LPGA Tour players will ever dominate that tour again as they once did?
Well, it's funny because in the book I write about Jan Stevenson and Nancy Lopez and all those incredible legends who played in the 70s and 80s who were really the face of the tour back then. In fact, Jan Stevenson talks a lot about being, selling sex appeal. And they used her as the face of the LPGA back then in the 70s. Here was this blonde, blue-eyed, gorgeous golfer who came over to the United States from Australia. And she wasn't really, she did all these appearances and did the extra, work that the LPGA commissioner back then, Ray Volpe, had asked of her. But she said, you know what, had I focused more on training and practicing, I probably would have even won more titles. And she made a lot of enemies as the sex symbol of the LPGA back then. And now, to answer your question, it would be politically incorrect to do anything like that, right? You could never do that to sell the LPGA. Now, the players are so extraordinarily gifted and talented. There's so much depth in golf and particularly in the women's game. They've come so far in the last 10, 15 years. It's just incredible to watch these professionals, right? I play in a lot of pro-ams, and to play with these pros on the LPGA Tour, it's just amazing because they're so damn good, right?
Yeah.
But you get Nelly Korda, who, she won, 5 straight and 6 tournaments of 7. And so she was dominating the headlines for a long time, and ratings were going up. And so, I think the Americans, you need Nelly Korda. Unfortunately, Lexi Thompson, she's retiring soon. And she's, a lot of these young women at 30 decide they really have had enough because the travel is so exhausting, and they travel all over the world. And sometimes, there's no rhyme or reason to the schedule. They'll be in Asia, and then they'll be on the West Coast of the United States. So to answer your question, I think, there's so many global stars now on the LPGA because it's a global organization. The tournaments are all over the world, and the travel is extensive. And so we're seeing stars from all over really shine.
Yeah, it's a great, great life. But like you say, most people know it's a tough life. practicing, traveling, and making accommodations and stuff. So it's going to be interesting a few years from now to really see what happens. And stand by, we got to take a break. And when we come back, we will have more with our very special guest and a lot more of the show with Ann Liguori. So a lot more to go. Stay with us. Don't move. We're back right after this. Hi, I'm Dennis Silvers, host of the 19th Hole podcast for golfers. Here to tell you about a product that's improved my game, Poptical sunglasses. Unlike ordinary sunglasses, Popticals are collapsible using a unique rail system that lets you easily store them in their protective case. They offer crystal clear vision, UV protection, and are scratch resistant and water repellent. Made in Italy, they look great on and off the course. Plus, Popticals come with a 2-year warranty, a 30-day return policy, and make the perfect gift for the golfer in your life. Visit Popticals.com for more info.
As golfers, we want instant gratification when it comes to a better golf swing and playing better golf. Impossible, you say? Not anymore. Golf Boost Artificial Intelligence, AI, has developed and patented the most advanced swing analysis technology in golf. Simply, the algorithms detect your body position and then analyze your golf swing using their artificial intelligence technology. The AI captures all the relevant data from your swing video and then presents you a personalized lesson. Golf Boost AI is the ultimate swing analysis and virtual instruction system for golfers of all ages and abilities. This sophisticated software takes into consideration your height and build, playing level, and returns the ideal solution for your swing. Bottom line, Golf Boost AI is an incredibly convenient and cost-effective tool for golfers to improve their swing. Go to golfboost.com and check it out. The app is free to download and try. Visit golfboost.com today.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to more of the 19th Hole podcast for golfers. Having a great conversation with our first-time guest, author Ann Liguori, Life on the Green. Go to Amazon, Google it, find it. It's a great addition to your golf library. And you've covered a boatload of major championships. Number one, do you have a favorite major championship and why?
I do. I cover the Masters every year, 26 straight years. And, now I go so early for the Augusta National Women's Am, which starts, the final round is Saturday.
Yeah.
Before the Masters week even starts at Augusta National. And, they just do such a great job. I love the golf course, walking around. The azaleas and magnolias are in full bloom. It's an impeccably beautiful spot. The press room, a $60 million press room. It's just a joy to work out of there. And it's just something very, very special. I mean, I think one of the most iconic places in all of sport, and I've covered so many different sports from Super Bowls to World Series to World Cup soccer to, the 6 Olympics. The most iconic spot in golf is under the big oak tree at Augusta National when the honorary starters come out that Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, Tom Watson, and it is just very, very special to be there.
Yeah, it is. The thing that I noticed, Ann, the first time I went to Augusta, after watching it for years on television, when you finally get there, and I'm wondering if you'll agree with me, and see it in person and walk the golf course, it's so much different in person than it is on television. With the humps
Right.
and bumps and the elevation changes. It's amazing.
Yeah, you have to have good walking shoes and you have to have a lot of stamina to get up those hills because television doesn't do the elevation justice. It's hard to show just how much elevation there is. And And I mean, look, there's only your TV screen as big as it may be, right?
Yeah.
But when you walk around, there's beauty 360 degrees around you, and
Yeah.
it's just phenomenal. And then the par 3 course you get to see, which you can only see on that Wednesday of the coverage for the par 3 competition. So it's a special, special place. And look, I love covering the Open Championships. I'm going to Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland next summer. I was there a couple years ago when Shane Lowry, Irishman Shane Lowry, took home the Open Championship title. And I'm going back there next year. And I love the Ryder Cup venues, Solheim Cup venues, but I loved Marco Simone for the Ryder Cup last year in Rome. So, and it's going to be at Beth Page here next year in New York. And then a couple years after that, back in Ireland at Adira Manor. So, it's just a great sport. It takes you to some of the most gorgeous places on the planet. And it's just an exciting way to travel, to not only play golf, but to cover these major championships, which are always at wonderful golf venues.
Yeah. Great players and great venues. And you see some very, very good golf. And what would you do to kick the President's Cup up a notch? It's never going to be like the Ryder Cup. They're playing the international team as opposed to everybody in the world at the Ryder Cup. What would you do to boost its, to boost its ratings, to get people more excited about it? I don't know. It's kind of the same thing to me year after year after year.
It's just so funny. I read an article on golf.com saying it's like the biggest thing now, the President's Cup, and I'm starting to watch, the first round here. I think it's very popular. I mean, the Ryder Cup by far, to me, is the most exciting international sports competition, aside from the Olympics. And as I mentioned, I covered 6 Olympics, and that's just incredible. All different sports with the Olympics I covered as a radio host and reporter. But I think the President's Cup is kind of getting more popular, as the Solheim Cup. The women's Solheim Cup was very popular this year. So I just think, golf is really, I think, very, very, it's become very, very popular, at least as for recreational players. Now, some people may say, TV ratings in golf have declined, which, if you read about ratings, that is definitely true. But then again, there's so many different ways to watch golf with not only network coverage, but streaming, and there's so many different ways to watch any sporting event. So when you have that argument about declining viewership of golf, I don't necessarily think that's the case, because there's just so many other ways to consume golf. And it's a little more difficult to find it on television because it's streaming on this network, and then you have to go to that network, and and that. So I think it's kind of difficult to watch it sometimes, but it's really more popular than ever. And these players are just so good. They're shooting in the 60s, in the mid to low 60s consistently, which is phenomenal, right? How many times are we seeing these guys shoot 63s, 62s, and and 60s, which is just unbelievable. The amount of low scores we're seeing more consistently on the PGA Tour, and the women are playing phenomenal. So
they are.
I think more and more people are watching golf.
Yeah.
It's just maybe how we measure it needs to be changed because of all the differences of all the ways you can actually view golf now.
Yeah, very, very true. I'm in the 60s a lot, Ann. I don't know if you know that or not, but it's become a little bit too cold for me to play in the low 60s. I'm
I thought
sorry.
maybe you were going to say for the front nine.
Sometimes that's true, Smarty. Sometimes that's true, yes. All right, tell us, and our special guest is Ann LIGUORI, who's got this great new book out. I want to put it up again. Life on the Green, talking with some great iconic players in the golf industry, in the game of golf. So check it out. Tell us about your fundraiser that you do every year to raise money for cancer.
Well, thanks so much for asking about that, Dennis. We're in our 26th year of the Ann LIGUORI Foundation Charity Golf Classic. I live in the Hamptons on the east end of Long Island. And so every year, between May and September. Sometimes we have it in the spring, sometimes we have it in the fall, but we go to prestigious golf courses here and host golfers who want to donate and have a great day. You know, our cause is cancer research and cancer care. And the last 2 years, we were at the Great Friars Head.
Ooh.
And before that, Maidstone, and we've been on Sabonic and Atlantic and the Bridge and West Hampton Country Club. So we just go to the greatest golf courses out here in the East End of Long Island. We're so blessed to have so many great golf courses out
you
here.
do.
And this year, I'm not sure where we're going to do it yet for 2025, but you can always find out on my website at annligori.com once we decide where we will host our 27th edition.
Wow.
But it's a great cause. You know, we all have been directly or indirectly affected by cancer. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's a cause that all of us
Yeah.
can kind of get involved with and hopefully raise money and awareness for cancer research and cancer care. And, you know, the golf industry, Dennis, is so generous. I mean, it's just everybody's one phone call away, whether it's Callaway or TaylorMade or
Right.
Tour Edge, donating golf clubs or golf balls, or we have really great gifts for everybody who comes to the tournament and prizes. And, you know, I just think the golf industry in general is so charitable. All the
Yeah.
money that they raise in pro-ams early in the week at LPGA and PGA Tour tournaments, week in and week out. It's just a wonderful industry to be a part of. Very, very generous industry.
Well, you know, you're looking at one of the best MCs in the country right here, Ann. So if you're short of talent, give me a call. I'd love to come. It would
I
be
certainly will keep that in
awesome to
mind.
see the players that you have there. Because, like I said, it's got to be a great tournament, great venue, good people, and that would be absolutely super. Getting back to what we chatted about earlier, do you ever think there's going to be an agreement between Monahan, the PGA Tour, and the LIV Tour, and Greg Norman?
And Yasser, actually, the head of the Public Investment Fund,
Right.
the Saudi Public Investment Fund. I'm not sure, Dennis. I honestly have, you know, I follow it very closely because I talk about it, as I mentioned, on my Talking Golf show on WFAN. I think they're trying to figure out, now the players seem to be more in control of these negotiations. Tiger, and there are a couple players on this policy board now.
True.
And I don't get the idea that they really want these players who bolted to LIV for all that money. I don't think these players on the PGA Tour who remain loyal to the PGA Tour really want to see these LIV guys come back and play PGA Tour tournaments without some kind of penalty. So I'm wondering if they're trying to figure out how are they going to get these LIV players back in the mix of the PGA
Yeah.
Tour. They don't want it. You know, they're very happy playing LIV golf. They're making tons of money. I do think the issue is world ranking points. They want to play major championships and they want
That
to play
is
the
the
Ryder
issue.
Cup.
Yeah, that is the
And that's
issue.
the issue. So they're not happy about that they can't earn enough ranking points to perhaps play in the Ryder Cup or
Yeah.
perhaps play in the major championships.
Right.
So I don't really think the PGA Tour, in my opinion, these players who are controlling these meetings really are working. I mean, they're working hard to possibly come up with some kind of solution, but do they really want somebody like John Rahm, who left the PGA Tour for a LIV and is making so much money at LIV? Do they really want to give him an opportunity to come back to the PGA Tour? I don't think so. So it has to work for the players on the PGA Tour somehow.
Yeah. Well, that's true. It's going to be interesting once they get through all the litigation and you know how that comes out. But I certainly hope they put something together, maybe to have some mixed events or something. What do you think about a LIV Tour for women? Do you think that's a possibility, Ann?
I do think it's a possibility if LIV wants to invest in that. You know, what's their return of investment on the PGA Tour? Not the PGA Tour. What's their return of investment? The Saudi investment, the Public Investment Fund. What is their return of investment with LIV Golf? Are they seeing any return of investment? You know, the ratings are dismal.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to watch the way it's presented on TV. They don't have
I agree.
strong networks.
I
showing
agree.
it. So I don't see them going out and spending even more money when you show me what the return of investment is. I know they want a seat at the table in golf in our country, and that's their motivation for wanting to invest.
Yes.
But I can't imagine they would even spend more money if they're not getting a return of investment with all the millions that they've spent already.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very, very good point. And tell our listeners and viewers about your podcast.
So I do a show called Golf Interview with Ann Ligori, and you can actually hear it on Audio Boom. It's also called Sports Interview with Ann Ligori, so you can hear it in different places on Audio Boom, iTunes, and then I send it to First Call, which is a golf business media platform, and you may already subscribe to it. It's free subscription, and you get emails every day from First Call. And then if you scroll down, you'll see a little podcast section. And my podcast for the next couple of weeks is an interview I did with Renee Powell, who was one of the 6 female legends in my book. And boy, is she incredible. She talks about overcoming racism and all the difficulties and obstacles that she faced as a young person growing up in Canton, Ohio, and as a player on the LPGA Tour. She actually moved to the UK and had a much easier time as only the second African-American female to play on the LPGA. And when she moved to the UK and played on the European Tour, women's tour, it was a little easier for her from that standpoint. And now she's, just incredible. She's been named to so many different Hall of Fames. She's an honorary member of the RNA.
Right.
They named a dormitory after her at St. Andrews University. So anyway, my podcast, she's one of the chapters in my book, Life on the Green.
Right.
And she's my podcast now on Golf Interview with Ann Ligori on First Call. You can go to firstcall.com.
I know her father was a big, big influence.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Her father built his golf course with his bare hands practically in Canton, Ohio, called a Clearview Golf Club. And he has since passed away. But I think they were the only father-daughter tandem that was inducted into the PGA Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But she runs the golf course now, and she and her brother, and there's the Powell Education Center there. And they do all kinds of programs to educate people about equality and racial and gender equity. And she works very, very hard and does a great job really educating people about so many different facets of the game.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And you can read all about it in the book, as Ann just said. And stand by, we're up against another hard break. We'll only be a minute or two, and then we're going to come back and finish up the show with Ann Ligori and continue this great conversation. So don't move, stay with us. We're back. The revolutionary Power to Golf Club is helping golfers around the world continue to enjoy the greatest game of all. This amazing club requires no swing to hit shots from 50 up to 225 yards. That's right, no swing to hit shots, including fades, draws, low shots, as well as high ones. One incredible club does it all. Golfers with a wide variety of physical issues, including bad backs, hips, shoulders, and more, are now back in the game golfing with friends and family. Just set the club to the desired distance, and with a push of the button, the easy-to-use Power to Golf Club launches shots down the fairway and onto the green. The Power to Golf Club has been endorsed by some of the biggest names in golf, and the number of golfers enjoying the game by use of our unique technology continues to grow. Whether a physical issue or just want to join in on the fun, the Power to Golf Club is for you. Don't be left on the sidelines. Get back in the game today. Visit at powergolfclub.com. One of the perks about being in golf media is that I get to try every club ever made. Of course, like most things, some are better than others. I'm here to tell you that I have found unquestionably the absolute best performing set of irons I have ever played, and my scores show it. Let me introduce you to Grindworks, custom-fitted irons that are made to fit your game. Grindworks offers players 3 different styles of irons. You can choose muscleback irons, cavity back irons, and even blades, along with some awesome wedges. And when you purchase your clubs, Grindworks lets you choose the type of shaft you want, the type grip you prefer, and even will adjust the loft and lie of your clubs if needed. That's unheard of. So what are you waiting for? Feel the power and experience and performance of these amazing clubs. Simply go to grindworksusa.com or call 281-651-4046 to order. Trust me, your handicap will love you for it. We are back with Ann LIGUORI and more on the 19th Hole podcast for golfers. I'm Dennis Silvers, and you have I know you play a lot of golf at times and not so much golf at times when you're traveling and stuff. Do you have a swing coach?
Do I have a swing coach? I've taken lessons throughout the last couple decades. I didn't learn golf until I was in my 20s when I was on the Golf Channel and with this show called Conversations with Ann LIGUORI, where I interviewed all these celebrity golfers who were not pros, but they were very passionate about golf. And that became my first book, A Passion for Golf. But, I would go to the Learning Center in Miami to interview Sylvester Stallone, and Jim McClain would be there and he'd give me a lesson. And then I would be someplace else and David Ledbetter would be there. So I'd get a lesson from him, and then, just different places. But, now out in the Hamptons, I do take a lot of lessons out here at Southampton Golf Club, where I'm a member, and also in Florida. I'm a member of Legacy Club of Alico Lakes and Heathrow. And so, and then I'm an honorary member of 3 golf courses in Ireland. I love playing golf in Ireland. Nice. At Ardglass, Doonbeg, and this incredible place called Carne, Carne, on the west coast of Ireland. So, I take lessons occasionally and kind of mix it up to hear what different people have to say about my game. It's I like to kind of hear a variety of things. So might be a little more confusing, but I enjoy kind of meeting a variety of pros and hearing their take on how they get out my game.
Nice. I played Doonbeg. I was invited to go and play when it first opened. Yeah. And it was fabulous.
It's a special place, right?
Yeah. It was absolutely.
I was just there again this past summer, but I was, I'm one of the original founding members there and was on their advisory board. And I do miss the old days when Buddy Darby owned it. We became great friends. He developed Kiowa and the Ocean Club there on Kiowa Island. But it's just spectacular. And Donald Trump and his people, his golf team, have made incredible improvements to the golf course. And it is just one of my favorite golf courses in the world. I love going to Doonbeg. As often as I go to Ireland, I try to go to Doonbeg every time I can.
Yeah, I don't blame you. You, like I say, you mentioned you've played in a lot of pro-ams, a lot of events that you get invited to. Is there somebody that you have played with, Ann, that really stands out for whatever reason, particular reason, that's really was memorable to you?
Gosh, well, when I did that show, Conversations with Ann LIGUORI, I played with Celine Dion. She and her husband, Renee Angelil, they actually bought a golf course and turned it into their own course so they wouldn't have to wait for tee times. That was very special. Matthew McConaughey, just interviewing him at Desert Mountain in Scottsdale or Carefree, Arizona, looking into his eyes while I was interviewing him was pretty extraordinary. He's a very good golfer. Sylvester Stallone was fun. He very muscular guy, doesn't play that much golf, but that was an adventure. All these interviews have stories behind the stories, but I would say Celine Dion and Matthew McConaughey were a lot of fun. Samuel L. Jackson, Vince Gill, Amy Grant. Gosh, I've interviewed so many of these incredible first A-list personalities, and each one of them was an adventure to play golf with and to talk with. So, golf teaches you so much about a person. It's kind of like a window into your soul.
Yeah.
When you play golf with somebody, you find out so much, not only the good, but the bad and the ugly too, right? So I kind of use it as a vehicle to get to know people for my interviews.
That's what they say, the old saying. And to really get to know somebody, you can either gamble with them or you can play golf with them. And I think that's very true. That tells you a hell of a lot about a person, doesn't it?
Or do both, right? Gamble and play golf with them. Gamble while you're playing golf with them.
or do both. All right, before I let you go, because I know you're busy as hell, what's on the horizon for Ann Ligori?
Wow, more promotion of Life on the Green, Lessons of Wisdom from Legends of Golf. I have public speaking engagements really all over the country. Gosh, I'm going to get ready. I have a new syndicated radio show that I'll announce closer to when it debuts. So I'm working on that. There's always things going on, right? I'm going to Pinehurst. I just joined an organization called the Heritage Golf Society. And I'm going to go and do some book signings down there. And I love traveling. So as you mentioned, I get to play a lot of great golf courses and kind of tour a lot of very fascinating golf properties all over the United States and the UK and Ireland and Scotland. So there's always something to do, Dennis, with this game,
Oh, I know. You must have racked up a hell of a lot of miles and on airplanes, let me tell you, right? Over the years?
I do. And I get to bring, my significant other, Scott, along with me. We have a great time. He's a very good player. So we have a great time. And of course, Gus, my golden retriever, who is tuckered out right here. He takes a lot of time. I run with him every day. I exercise every day, swim, bike,
nice.
and basically run with Gus. And so we go down to Florida half the year too. So I'm heading down to Florida in mid-November, and I'll be there until after the Masters. So.
Okay. All right. Very, very, very nice. Well, I got to thank you for all your generous time, and so happy to have you on the show. And we're going to have you back sooner than later. And don't forget, Life on the Green. It's Ann's new book. Go to Amazon, Google it, you'll find it, and it's really, really a good book. I've gotten into it and about halfway through, and like you say, it's informational, it's inspiring. You learn about these great legends of golf, and it's just great. And I want to thank you again for coming on.
Well, thank you so much, Dennis, for having an interest and for reading the book and promoting the book. And I can't wait till you get to the Bernard Longer chapter, which is the last chapter. I want to hear your thoughts about that, and just excited about all the great messages that these legends share in Life on the Green.
Yeah, because you could learn a lot from them. They've been through the wars, and they've got their own philosophy. Everybody's a little bit different, and it's absolutely great. So anyway, again, Ann, thank you. We'll be in touch. We're going to talk about you coming out, hopefully, and helping us out. And I'll be in touch. And again, thank you.
Thank you. Come out to the east end of Long Island and play some of these great golf courses with me.
I would love to. I would love to, honestly. And we're going to talk about that. But again, thank you, Ann. I'll let you go, and I know you've got to walk your dog and do all that stuff. All right, we're going to step away, take another short break, and we're going to finish up the show. Be right back.
Carter Bonus of Spectrum Golf not slowing down. His third year at the PGA Show, and the cameras are still following him. This time, Whistle Sports Media and Entertainment and Fox 35's morning show in Orlando, Florida. Carter, who is on the autism spectrum, has been Sports Illustrated Sports Kid of the Year, the Masters UPS Unstoppable CEO of the Year, all while securing a spot on the Stars of the Spectrum golf team created by former NFL quarterback Doug Flutie. Carter has been telling his incredible story about why he started his line of golf apparel around the globe, and his impact is making a difference.
I know that some stuff seems hard and that it's impossible, but one of my favorite quotes is, "It seems impossible until it's done." And over the past 3 years, I never thought I would get here and do all the stuff that I'm doing right now. Be Sports Illustrated Sports Kid of the Year for 2022. Be UPS's and the Masters Unstoppable CEO. Meet Steph Curry. Meet all of these good people. Meet Ernie Els, Alex Cheka. Meet all, and be speaking in schools and in front of all of you good people. And everyone that I've spoken to before. I never thought I would do any of this. When I was little, I thought I would do nothing. But now I'm actually here, and I am successful, and I am happy, and I am thriving, and I'm saying if I can do it, you guys can do it.
Carter, who loves playing golf, designed his own logo and put it on the softest material he could find because he has a skin sensitivity. So it not only looks good, but feels good too. He offers hats, belts, shirts, pants, and more. For more information, go to carterspectrumgolf.com.
Hi, I'm Dennis Silvers, but I'm not here today to talk to you about golf. I'm here to talk to you about America's favorite pastime, baseball. America's pastime is back and better than ever with a twist you won't believe. Introducing Old Timers Day, a movie coming soon to theaters near you.
It is a story detailing the greatest baseball game of all time. Two teams, one chosen by God, one chosen by Satan, with the greatest players of all time, living and deceased, playing alongside each other to determine the fate of mankind.
This book, world tour, and movie will help unify the millions of baseball fans around the country and help satisfy the millions of people that have faith and compassion for their fellow man.
Who will win this epic game? You'll have to watch to find out. Expect an unforgettable experience that will touch your heart and soul. The Good Old Boys is brought to you by the Celestial Baseball Association, who are hitting home runs for God. Old Timers Day, where the spirit of baseball meets the power of faith. Don't miss it. Order your copy today at dpztechnology.com/store. Get this, use promo code OTD20 for an amazing 20% off. All right, for Ann LIGUORI, I'm Dennis Silvers. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we want to welcome Poptical Sunglasses to the show. They're great. Go to their website. Got a lot of technology in them and great styles. So we're going to be back with another show, same place, same time next week. So until then, try to get out and play some golf and keep it in the short stuff. We'll see you next week, everybody.